be a timber industry as it is today. It should be much smaller.
Dann muss allerdings dann ein Herr Wohlleben mir dann auch mal erklären, wo das...
Mr. Wohlleben has to explain where he thinks the timber and wood products will come from, if not from German production. And I don't know where the tables, the roof trusses, pallets, where all this wood is supposed to be produced. I think it would be a shame if sites are taken out of production in Germany and the forest is just left to its own devices. But it's really a socio-political question which I can't answer.
So you're saying it's a question for society, but society seems quite split about this.
Ja, ich habe ein bisschen Sorge.
Yes, I'm a bit worried about political opinions on this. In my view, there's a very strong conflict in Germany between the urban population and the rural population, and many discussions over climate are driven from the urban point of view. Personally, I don't see a problem in combining nature conservation with the production of timber.
That's also the view of the SDW, the German Forest Protection Association. Jonas Brandl is Forest Policy Advisor there. Are you on the side of the nature conservationists who'd like to keep the forest as it is, or are you on the side of forestry who would still like to see managed and cultivated forests?
I would say we sit directly in the middle of the debate. So most of the forests we like to see being managed, but in a very sustainable way. The thing with climate change is, first of all, it's human-made, so it's going on very fast. And the trees haven't learned in their evolution to adapt that fast. So through planting, you can bring in another tree species that will diversify your forest and will make it stronger to get on with climate change and to adapt to it.
The German government is giving forest owners €900 million for replanting and also for setting aside a portion of their cultivated forest. But what does Jonas Brandl think about the accusation that forestry is itself to blame for the current situation?
We need to go back to the time after the Second World War, and we needed timber to build. That was the reason why so many spruce was planted. And then you can't just go on and say we blame everyone. Right now we see it's not something made for climate change, but no one knew about it. But definitely we need to say that we need to manage our forests in a more diverse way.
Let's return now to Wernigerode, where this programme started. One of the attractions is the narrow-gauge steam railway, which takes visitors up into the mountains. A final question for Andreas Mehling, who's head of the tourist office there. You can't exactly advertise your dead forests, can you? You can't say, come to Wernigerode, come to the Harz Mountains to see the dead spruce trees.
Perhaps I have to do that because we will see these dead trees the next years. 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, I have to explain it. And perhaps it's a very special attraction, yes? You can see climate change and you can do something against climate change. So come to the Harz Mountain and have a look to that, and perhaps you can learn something for yourselves and you can do at home something better.
One thing is certain. Whoever's right in this debate about whether to manage and replant or leave the forest to recover by itself, the emergence of new forests in Germany will take generations. Assignment was presented and produced by me, Caroline Bailey.
Our series The Climate Question aims to understand climate change and the world's attempts to avert it, temper it or adapt to it. From asking if we've put too much faith in trees to finding out if lab-grown meat is better for the planet.
I would ask consumers and other researchers to just dig a little bit into the data.
Hear more at bbcworldservice.com/The Climate Question or search The Climate Question wherever you get your BBC podcast.
At bbcworldservice.com, it's Tech Life with Zoe Kleinman.
We find them in all the gadgets and tech we use every day. Help yourself to a large portion of chips while we find out why they're such a political hot potato. Plus, would you let AI be your personal trainer?
Next, it's Unexpected Elements. This is the BBC World Service, the world's radio station.
Coming up after the news, the show that looks for the science behind the news. In Unexpected Elements this week, it's the anniversary of the first message being sent by telegraph, and one day later was the first ever piece of news. That's where we start, but in this show, our global panel of science journalists can take us all sorts of places. Fast forward to today, and there's this whole emerging field of science looking at pretty much the same thing, but inside our bodies. Also, it's thousands of miles wide, it's alive, and you don't want it coming anywhere near you. Stay tuned for the tale of the menacing blob of seaweed lurking in the Atlantic. That's all to come on Unexpected Elements.
Nationals numbering almost 1 million, followed by EU nationals and Britons. Joining me now is Kate Shoesmith. She's Deputy Chief Executive of the Recruitment and Employment Confederation. Kate, welcome to you. I mean, the number is actually significantly lower than expected. Have we all been party to a bit of expectations management by the government?
I do wonder. I think the key here is that the comparison that people were using is previously migration was around, the net migration figure was around the 250,000 mark. Last year, we obviously saw a big increase on that, and then we've seen again an increase in the last year. But I think it's really important to think of the context here. So we are in an unprecedented period of labour and skill shortages. Our data shows that we currently have around 1.7 million job vacancy postings out there that are not being filled. It's not going to be enough to think about the UK talent that can fill those roles. So we have to have an efficient and responsive migration system alongside it.
To what extent do you think that some of the arrivals over the last 12 months have been able to alleviate those problems in the labour market? Because a lot of these people won't necessarily be allowed to work, will they?
No, and actually one of the growth figures that is contributed to what we're seeing as this high level of net migration is refugees coming in from different countries, but notably from Ukraine and Hong Kong has been recognised by the government this morning. Now that has to be the right response, that we're bringing in people, and if asylum seekers are considered in the numbers, the time it takes for asylum seekers to be their claims to be reviewed is considerable. And actually one of the things that stops those people that come to this country with significant experience and lots of different skill sets from working is the fact that you have to be an asylum seeker for over 12 months before you can work. Surely we can do something to cut that down so that these people can be contributing to the economy much sooner. We'd like to see it at 6 months, actually.
The government is looking to restrict the ability of some overseas students to bring in family members. Do we have any idea on those family members who are already here, the extent to which they're participating in the labour markets?
It's not clear from today's numbers, but we do know that when people come to the UK, they want to come and live, study and work here, and we have to make it an attractive country as possible. Like I said, we have unprecedented labour and skills demands in this country. They were exacerbated by the pandemic and by the coming out of lockdowns, and we haven't seen a decline in that demand from employers to hire staff. So if we're going to make the UK the right place to come, the right place to be a global trading partner, we have to think about our labour and skills system, but we have to think about migration policy alongside that. It's really important that we get those two sides of the same coin working together.
Now, the Labour Party said yesterday if it wins the next general election, it's going to bar employers from hiring foreign labourers unless it pays them what it calls the going rate, whatever that is. I mean, what sort of impact will that have on the labour market?
It'll be interesting to understand those proposals in a bit more detail. We already have the national living wage, the national minimum wage that is set by government, that is recommended to them each year. That's the obligation that is on employers. So if that's not being met, what should be happening is there should be the proper mechanisms to enforce the regulations and to enforce the proper pay rates. if we're not putting the money aside for proper enforcement, that's a problem, because it really doesn't help the good businesses that are trying their best out there to pay their workers, to support good working practices. And it's not fair that the rogue traders are getting the upper hand in any way.
I mean, are politicians being unrealistic in some ways, Kate? I mean, we keep hearing that they want to get British workers to do some of the jobs that we've relied on overseas labourers for in the recent past. But with the best will in the world, we're never going to get British people to do jobs like fruit picking, are we?
Well, you definitely do have them in some circumstances, but I think the key thing here is we need to think about it in the round. So I'm talking about job market vacancies that I can see from the front line of working in the recruitment industry. We look at things like the NHS waiting lists. They're off the charts. There are over 7 million people waiting for treatment. Some of those things need to be treated before they can be ready for work. You need to be thinking about how you bring together work finding support with health support, but also with a really responsible skills and training system that helps employers find the skills they need right now. And actually, sometimes you need the skills before the training is completed. That's why you bring in migrants to do these jobs.
All right, Kate, got to leave it there. Good to talk to you this morning. Thank you. Now, household energy bills are set to fall from the 1st of July after the regulator Ofgem cut the energy price cap that limits the amount that energy suppliers are allowed to charge a dual-fuel household per unit of gas or electricity. From July, the average household will now pay £2,074 a year. The current cap is £3,280, but the government's energy price guarantee has capped average bills down to £2,500. We're speaking with Kay Burley this morning. Ofgem's chief executive, Jonathan Brearley, acknowledged that things will still be difficult for many.
We are still at the moment paying £2,500 a year. Now, there is good news. That is going down to 2074, so prices are falling. But you're right, when you take away all the government support that's finishing, things are still going to be tough for many families this winter.
What do you do at home?
So what do? I have always switched supplier when I can. So it's been a different circumstance the last couple of years, but I always switch supplier. I always look into the market to see the best deal for me. Now, that for me is not just about price. That's about the service I get. And that's also about the sort of tariffs I might want to sign up to in the future. So there's a number of factors I look at, but yes, I'm an active switcher in the market.
As our business correspondent, Paul Kelso. Paul, no real drama here. It's come down more or less exactly as people expected.
Yes, it's bang in line with the forecasts that have proved pretty accurate over the last 12 months. It is a moment, though, Ian, it's the biggest drop, and it's two things. It brings prices back down to a level we haven't seen for more than a year, that £2,074. Remember, that's an average amount for typical use. So that's a family of four in a home with enough bedrooms. It's also crucially below the £2,500 that the government has been guaranteeing. We can see how the price cap has evolved here. If you look back to the left-hand side of the screen there, the chart pre the war in Ukraine, a long-term average around £1,000 a year. It climbs as we post-COVID, and then in summer 22, once the war is underway in Ukraine, and look how high it went, £4,000 in the winter. But that energy price guarantee effectively capping prices, with the Treasury picking up the bill, everything above the line there, and the red chart there, that's where the price cap has fallen. That cost to the Treasury £94 billion so far. So the Chancellor will be pleased prices have fallen back. Actually, wholesale gas prices are at their lowest since 2021 at the moment, which explains why consumer prices are falling. Key question for what's left of the market. Remember, that price shock has wiped out many of the suppliers who provided what passed for competition in the energy market, many of them caught out by rising prices. Ultimately, you can't get around the fact someone's got to pay the real cost of energy until we have major reform of both supply and the market. Well, Ofgem and some of the market observers, you switched this morning, saying they think this may bring some competition back into the market. There may be some options for consumers looking at doing what Jonathan Brearley was talking to Kay about this morning, switching. It's effectively that £2,500 price guarantee has been a minimum price for suppliers. Now it may come down. People may be willing to offer fixed prices, perhaps for 6 months or a year, where you can lock in at around this £2,000 mark. But we wait to see if that really does pass through. These prices will apply from July. The outlook for the rest of the year is that prices will remain pretty stable. That's barring any other shocks. The one thing the UK does not want is any interruption to liquid natural gas supply, particularly from Qatar, who have filled the gap left by that huge reduction in Russian hydrocarbons in the energy market. The price for that, sitting at around £2,000, a price of war, you could put it, that we're all going to have to live with.
OK, Paul, thanks for that. Now, food and drink manufacturers are fighting to convince consumers their products represent good value during the cost of living crisis. And to that end, coming up with products that are as tasty and healthy as possible is crucial. Helping many of them in that regard is Tate & Lyle, whose ingredients aim to improve the texture and flavour of everything from soups, sauces and dressings to breakfast cereals, muffins, juice drinks and confectionery. Today it reported a pre-tax profit of £253 million on an adjusted basis. That was up 13% on the same period last year. The shares are currently ahead by some 2%. Joining me now is Nick Hampton. He's the Chief Executive of Tate & Lyle. Nick, good to see you again this morning. I mean, inflation is obviously front of mind right now. What's happening to your costs?
We saw a significant increase in input costs last year, but as you say, and you saw in the results, we delivered an excellent set of financial results as a result of managing those costs very well. And for us, that's about driving productivity. It's about working with our customers to provide the right kind of value to improve product quality, while also helping them with taking cost out too. And the balance of that resulted in a pretty good set of results, I think.
How difficult or easy is it to pass on higher costs to some of your customers? Presumably a lot of them are locked into long-term contracts.
Yes, but the way we do our contracting is we look to lock in the input costs as we see them going forward. So we'll try and back-to-back price with contracting forward on raw materials, so we create some certainty for both us and customers. And again, that was a big part of managing the consequences of inflation last year, and we're doing that as well as we come into this year. In terms of passing through, it's about working with customers to provide value and recognising that input cost inflation is part of that equation.
Have there been points during the last 12 months, Nick, where you've been tempted to sacrifice volumes in order to defend your price position?
We were very intentional last year about looking to do high quality business, and what you saw is a significant increase in revenue versus volume last year as a result, and that's just a continual focus on the high value part of our business, which is driving the growth story of the new Tate & Lyle. So yes, intentionally doing the right kind of volume is part of the strategy.
So one of the big events this year, obviously, has been the reopening of China from its COVID lockdowns. What sort of challenges has that presented you with?
Well, for us, it was very interesting. Through the latter half of last year, we saw a big increase in infection rates in China amongst our staff. You know, through December, January, 60% of our staff had COVID, fortunately mildly, and we kept all of our operations running. And what we're seeing now is some signs of positive momentum in China. As you know, we made a big acquisition there last year, and our China business is an important pillar of the future.
Obviously, the war in Ukraine has now been waging for more than a year. I mean, I know at the outset that presented certain challenges for you in terms of obtaining some raw materials. Are those challenges starting to abate now?
Things are definitely easing, more because we've looked to source from elsewhere. We didn't actually source corn or any significant raw materials out of Ukraine, but obviously there was tightness in Europe, and we're having to bring corn into Europe from outside still. But the strength of our global footprint is really helping with that. So we haven't really seen any significant challenges to production because we've worked really hard to get the right kind of global supply chain capability in place.
Now, obviously, you spend an awful lot of money every year on research and development. What sort of things are bubbling away in your laboratories now that people should get excited about?
Look, I think people should be excited about the range of innovation we're bringing across sweeteners, mouthfeel and fortification. So those things combined together really help improve the health of food. So we're putting those things together helps take sugar, calories, fat out of food, but still make it taste great. And you know that taste is at a premium for consumers. So if we're going to change consumer habits, then providing great taste and better health balance is really important.
I mean, a lot of what you do is obviously plant-based already. Do you feel as though you were kind of a pioneer in this field, given that everyone is now rushing into more plant-based nutrition?
I think the heritage of the business is, for over 160 years, has always been in plant-based, and that's a great heritage to build on. And we're very clear that plant-based is the future. Everything we do comes from agriculture, and increasingly we're seeing much more demand for those products. So that reset that we've done in the last couple of years really has put us right at the centre of the future of food.
All right, Nick, it's a busy day for your results day. We do appreciate you sparing the time to speak to us. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Some other business news stories for you now. And Germany is officially in recession, it emerged today. Europe's largest economy contracted by 0.3% during the first 3 months of the year, according to the country's statistical agency. That came on top of a contraction of 0.5% during the final 3 months of last year. And 2 consecutive quarters of economic contraction is, of course, the definition of a technical recession. Well, earlier estimates had suggested Germany might avoid a recession. Household and government spending both fell during the quarter and were the biggest drags on growth. The Bundesbank, which is Germany's central bank, is forecasting modest growth during the current quarter. The continuing popularity of pet ownership, which took off during the pandemic, has propelled pets at home to better than expected results. The UK's biggest pet care business reported an underlying pre-tax profit of £136.4 million for the year to the end of March. That was up 4.8% on the previous 12 months and came on the back of a 6.6% rise in sales to a record £1.4 billion. Sales growth was strongest in the company's veterinary arm. Well, Lisa McGowan, the chief executive, said the company grew its active VIP base to 7.7 million, averaging more than 24,000 puppy and kitten sign-ups and 8,500 new vet clients per week. The water company United Utilities has gone into the red on the back of higher electricity and chemicals costs, lower consumption and a surge in the cost of dealing with the aftermath of a surge of burst pipes during harsh winter weather. United, which provides water and wastewater services in the northwest of England, reported an underlying pre-tax loss of £34.3 million for the year to the end of March. That compared with a profit of £301.9 million during the previous 12 months. Headline profits, meanwhile, fell by 42% to £256.3 million. The dividend to shareholders is being raised by 4.6%. Well, Louise Beardmore, she's the new chief executive of United, said the company had achieved a 39% reduction in sewage spills since 2020, but acknowledged the need to invest more in infrastructure, assets and employees in order to meet new environmental targets. The security and defence contractor Kinetic said today that the increased focus on defence spending by governments had brought it record orders during the last year. The company, which employs 8,000 people worldwide, said orders rose by 41% to £1.7 billion, including a contract to deliver experimentation, test and evaluation for the Royal Navy's submarine fleet, and one to support the US Army with the development, testing, deployment and training of digital night vision technology. Underlying operating profits during the year to the end of March rose by 30% to £178.9 million. I can tell you the share price is currently ahead by some 2%. A rise in both customer numbers and savings inflows helped the investment platform AJ Bell raise pre-tax profits by 61% to £41.9 million during the 6 months to the end of March. AJ Bell said customer numbers rose by 7% during the period to just over 455,000, while assets under administration grew by 7% to £73.8 billion. Michael Summersgill, the chief executive, said it was a strong performance during a period of challenging market conditions. He also called on the government to simplify the large range of ISAs now available to savers into just a single ISA that was easy to understand and would be more likely to encourage investment. Well, gilts, UK government bonds, fell sharply yesterday as the April inflation figure came in higher than expected, and the yield, which rises as the price falls on 10-year gilts yesterday, hit 4.321%. That was the highest since October last year. A short while ago, it was 4.282%. Well, on the equity markets, another sell-off on Wall Street last night, sparked by concerns over the US debt ceiling, was followed by overnight declines for equities in the Asia-Pacific region. You saw those a moment ago. Only Tokyo finished in positive territory. You're looking at the picture in Europe right now. There we go. We're back to Asia there. Yeah, the Nikkei up by just under 0.2%. All the other main indices in the region lower. In Europe, equity markets also trading to the downside this morning, largely, although the IBEX in Madrid and in Spain is slightly higher. The CAC 40 in France more or less unchanged right now. Not many features in Europe to talk about this morning, but the Spanish travel booking company eDreams is ahead by some 4% in Madrid right now after full year results came in ahead of expectations. Here in London, the FTSE 100 is also in negative territory right now, currently off just over a fifth of 1%. There's a broad-based sell-off as ever on a Thursday at this time of year. A number of stocks have gone ex-dividend this morning. In other words, they've adjusted lower automatically to reflect the fact that they're trading for the first time without rights to the latest payout. And there's a real clutch of them in the FTSE this morning. They include Kingfisher, Intertek, DCC, and Coca-Cola, HBC and Imperial Brands. If you own shares in those companies, don't worry, they've all gone ex-div today, and that's why they appear to be lower right now. Elsewhere in the FTSE 100, Johnson Matthey, the industrial materials group, its shares currently off by some 2.5% nearly on its latest results. On the foreign exchange markets, well, a lot of the action's been in the euro this morning following confirmation Germany has entered recession. Sterling up by just over 1/4% right now against a single currency. The euro also off by 1/6% against the US dollar. Sterling more or less unchanged against the greenback, meanwhile up 1/10%. As for the oil price, well, that's been drifting a bit this morning. A barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $77.46 a barrel. That is off a little over 1% on the session. Well, joining me this morning is Patrick Spencer, Vice Chair of Equities at Baird. Patrick, good to see you this morning. I know you're an equities man, but we've got to start really with what happened in the gilt market yesterday. Pretty extraordinary.
Yes, well, I think you've seen interest rates rises, across the world, to combat inflation, and I think there's concerns there that interest rates are going to go considerably higher on the back of that inflation number. But if the US usually leads the rest of the world with these inflationary numbers, and CPI there, which is the main index the Fed looks at, basically has come down from 10 to 6%. And it's quite sticky in the UK because of difficulties over workers and workers' comps and Brexit, etc. And certainly it has its own issues of higher gas prices, etc., which we feel will eventually work its way through the system. So I think that's what you're seeing really is an overreaction to a very high print. And I looked at futures this morning, and they're only looking for interest rates to go just above 5%, and what are they now, 4.5%? So definitely an interest rate rise, I think, next month. But then we should actually get some ease. The markets, the financial futures are saying, we're going to see interest rates stabilising a little in the second half of this year.
What's all this going to mean for company earnings? I mean, obviously we've just come out of Q1 earnings season.
Yes.
Pretty well, better than expected by and large.
Well, much better in the States, that's for sure. I mean, if you look at the S&P 500 companies that have actually just reported, quite rightly, as you've said, their Q1, 80% of those companies actually beat. But what was more importantly, which I just overheard as I was just coming in with your previous interviewee about margins, input costs, and that's more important obviously going forward. Those have been falling, shipping costs are falling, oil prices are falling, so margins across all the sectors in the S&P were quite strong. And everybody's looking for a recession, but they keep now saying it's being delayed despite these good numbers. And if you look at the UK market, I looked this morning, since we think the bottom in the market was last autumn. But if you look at the UK market, in the stock market, it's been one of the strongest in the world. It's been up 30% since the autumn, whereas the rest of the world's only up 17%. So concerns about, basically hard landing, recession, earnings, I think certainly it's like everything. It's between the difference between reality and expectations.
Yeah.
The expectations are that things are horrible coming round the corner, but the reality is they're slightly better than that, and that's why the markets continue to do well, and I think will continue to do well.
Probably a cruel question to put to you, Patrick, but do you think the UK market is now trading at closer to fair value? I mean, obviously, in terms of earnings multiples, it's been on a fairly low valuation in recent times with the historic average.
We actually quite like the UK market. It's trading sort of at a 12%, 15% discount to the rest of the world. So it's certainly in the bargain bin, and there's a lot of bad news priced in. You're getting near 4% yields while you wait, and the FTSE 100, FTSE 250 is most probably actually more domestic related, and a lot of the retail numbers that have been reported in the UK have been quite buoyant. So the underlying consumer, despite worries about higher interest rates and certainly the cost of living increases, are certainly hanging in there.
Are there any sectors in particular that you think represent quite good value right now in the UK?
Well, in the UK, yes, certainly. I think, we've seen concerns about higher rates and what that's going to do to house builders, etc. And I think you're seeing a bottom out process. If we were right on interest rates, then I think the house builders, especially consumer discretionary stocks, because there's still a lot of savings left over from COVID, and some of the numbers being reported yesterday were fantastic in the retail space. So I think consumer discretionary and house builders certainly to us look really interesting, and the banks, of course.
Very interesting. Patrick, we have to leave it there. Really good to see you in the studio this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
Still to come here on Ian King Live. We're going to be discussing the rise of artificial intelligence in the workplace as the government pledges new regulations to mitigate the risks. Stay with us.
That has happened within minutes, and now it's coming from both sides, and it's moving this way.
Only about half a mile from the Turkish coast, and it's evident that the boat seriously overcrowded. This is one of the most severe viruses in the world. I'm Alex Crawford, and I'm Sky's special correspondent based in Istanbul.
This is going to be the biggest party Tripoli has ever seen.
That's it got us then. There's a lot of action going on, a lot of hits coming in still. We aim to be the best and the most trusted place in news.
Clearly not had very much to eat at all, a lot of them extremely thin and very frail.
Look at her arms, I can put my entire hand round. This is the cocktail of drugs which the doctors at this hospital have been giving their coronavirus patients. Made for people who want clarity in an uncertain world.
Mother Nature can be vicious, absolutely savage. The world's largest falls now down to a trickle in places.
I can't imagine how much plastic is lying at the bottom of this huge lake. Oh! Close and personal with her, aren't they? This is what makes the job so fantastic.
Welcome back. Now, the Prime Minister's been meeting executives from companies developing artificial intelligence to discuss how to mitigate the risks as huge advances are made. But according to research from Coursera, one of the world's biggest online learning platforms used for upskilling workers, AI is already being widely adopted in the workplace, with 80% of UK executives saying their business is using it and nearly half doing so extensively. I've been speaking with Jeff Maggiancalda. He's the chief executive of Coursera.
We just did a survey of UK businesses, and just to sort of get a level set of what's out there, we were surprised that 80% of UK businesses surveyed said that they're already implementing some kind of generative AI, mostly higher incidences in IT and marketing, quite high in legal and also in financial services. But it's clearly a technology that companies are integrating to provide better customer service, to boost productivity, and to really think of new ways to run their businesses.
There is a bit of a skill shortage around generative AI at the moment. How do businesses go about addressing that?
I think AI users, again, that's going to kind of automatically come with the AI electrification of the software tools that we already use. I think it'll be pretty straightforward. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of training to use the tools, but it will displace a lot of jobs. And so it will be required that people get reskilled and redeployed into new jobs. On the builder side, though, yes, there's a very high demand for people who know how to build neural networks, who know how to build adversarial networks, who know how to use this transformer technology, which is kind of the architectural underpinnings of things like ChatGPT. So there's a huge demand, and people will both hire that kind of expertise, which is very expensive, or they will build that expertise using online training courses like Coursera.
You've just put your finger on a key point, though, which is that a lot of people are very, very nervous about the ability of generative AI to destroy jobs as well as create them. What would you say to people with those anxieties?
That they're not misplaced. I mean, if you go back to the OECD in 2016, they did a study of the impact of AI on jobs. And when they said which kinds of jobs will be impacted by the kind of AI that existed in 2016, and they did it both by job and by education level, what they found was the greatest level of impact would be held by those with the least formal education. So the AI of 2016 mostly would impact jobs held by people with no formal education, followed by people who have just a high school degree, followed by people who have some college and then a bachelor's and a master's and a PhD. That was as it stood with the technology in 2016. Now, fast forward to 2023, OpenAI and University of Pennsylvania just published a study on March 27th looking at the impact of this new kind of AI, this ChatGPT generative AI, and they said, well, which kinds of jobs will be impacted by this new type of AI? It was the reverse order. Mostly, it's going to impact people with PhDs, master's degrees, and bachelor's degrees. It will have very little impact on people with no formal education. But the technology in 2016 hasn't gone away. So those with lower educational levels are still at risk because of the more conventional AI, and now the more advanced, the knowledge jobs and the more advanced technology with AI is going to impact those. So to some degree now, we're all in the same boat. Doesn't matter what educational level you have, AI will impact your jobs, and that means we're all going to have to be reskilling and retooling and staying nimble as the world moves forward.
Now, you've been very clear just now that you think this is an opportunity for your business. Some of your peers in the education sector, such as Chegg, which recently put out a profits warning, are a bit less clear on that.
We just launched something called Coursera Coach. It's a personal tutor that sits there in the courses so that you're not really alone. Every learner in the course will have somebody, an expert, a learning assistant that they can talk to and say, I don't understand that. Give me an example of that. Explain that in a different way. Summarize that. What career would I pursue if I had this skill? So it's like a personalized learning assistant that you can talk to that helps you with your learning. And I mean, I'm biased, but I've been using it. It's extraordinary. I mean, it's unbelievable. Then there's another type of technology which is not so much for the learner, but for the content producers, our educator partners like Imperial College of London, like University of London, like Leeds University, where they can use these tools that we're building at Coursera to make it easier and faster to produce high quality content and credentials.
Now, you've been speaking and praising ChatGPT during the course of this conversation. Google have just unveiled some enhancements to their AI offering. Have they still got time to close the gap on Microsoft?
I think that there's not going to be a single winner, but I do think that smart companies today are not betting on any one provider. We're in the very early innings, and even at Coursera, we are architecting our AI services for learners and partners to be multi-model. So I really think there'll be a number of models that are good at different things, and there won't be just one big winner.
That was Jeff Majincalda from Coursera speaking to me earlier. Well, still to come here on Ian King Live, the British company breaking records for solar cell efficiency. Stay with us.
You can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about Sendwave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. Of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Body is your man. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Star Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
All around the world. In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile. If you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Star Radio UK and the Morning Show.
This is Star Radio. This is UK. Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Star Radio. Star Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade. Jesus.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your
This is
smartphone.
Star Radio UK.
In your hands, the hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's what makes you great. You are God. You will never change. You remain the same to the end. To the end.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. I salute each and every one of you, and I welcome you to the Thursday edition of the Morning Show. Today is the 25th day of May, the year 2023, with the time now 10:43 from the hearts of London. And you are tuning to the favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. So once again, welcome to the show. From now till 12:30, I'm going to be your captain. I'm going to be taking you through everything that you got to know. But let's say good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and the one and only Mr. Francis Gaye, my able producer. And to Felix all the way in Aberdeen, Kunju D here in the south of London. Bishop Adeshina all the way in Niger, and to the one and only Olakunle. Anthony Adedeji, Pastor Momo, Sam Maxwell, Moyua, good morning to you. I hope you're all doing good. And as I would say, all protocol observed from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar, wherever you are, we promise you one thing for sure, that we're going to be touching on all the stories making around this morning. So wherever you are, once again, welcome to the program, the Thursday edition of the morning show. Of course, I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the
Okay, let's crack on. For those of you who have tuned in for the first time to listen to us on the morning show, the Thursday edition, this is how the program goes. I'll bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel updates. Then from there, we'll move on to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Then we'll continue from there and then look at details of stories making the rounds from Nigeria. That is updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koike. But today he'll be bringing us the updates from our North London studios. Today he's not in London. He's in London, but North London studios, not in the city. That's what I mean. Or Westminster, where he was reporting from yesterday. Okie dokie do. Then after that, we'll continue. The lines will be open at 12 o'clock, and then we'll look at some of the other stories at 12:30. We'll bring the curtains down. Boom, for the end of the program. So in Nigeria, that's what's happening today. So wherever you are, keep your dial so log on Starr Radio UK and enjoy the ride. I do say all the time, if you are standing, hold on to something. If you are sitting, buckle up, because it gets bumpy some of the times. However, you be rest assured of one thing, that I'm going to get you to your destination in peace. Why? It's all because
Archie on Starr Radio. Nobody does it better.
Okay, so let's crack on. The quote for the day says, persistence is very crucial if you would succeed. Persistence is very crucial if you would succeed. Great are you, Lord. Starr Radio, okay? So let's move on straight to the weather front. What has the weather got in stock for us?
All of you makes my heart.
Well, it's going to be sunny, and that will tend to become more frequent as the day progresses and the cloud turns patchier. Now, largely sunny later this afternoon and into the evening as well. But tonight, largely clear skies, though areas of cloud will start to develop for more during the early hours. It will be a dry and settled night, however. When it comes to the temperature 20 degrees, the lower 7 degrees, pollen level, moderate UV level, high pollution, low. Sunset 20:59, sunrise for tomorrow morning 04:56 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. We'll take a quick commercial break, and once we come back, we'll continue with the show. So wherever you are, keep your dial so logged on Starr Radio UK. Don't you go away.
Great are you, Lord. Greatly to be praised. Great are you,
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads as we keep you navigated. I promise I'm on the Starr Radio travel update that comes to you every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:48. What's happening on your travels? Well, for those of you in London and the side of England, this is how the those of you in the UK, this is how the travels is like. But especially those of you in London this morning, I can tell you assuredly on the underground, good service throughout London, traveling good service, DLR. Good service there, but the London Overground has got part suspension and severe delays. No service between New Cross Gate and Crystal Palace, West Croydon, and severe delays between Highbury and Islington and New Cross Gate, New Cross Gate. While they fix a track fault in the Brockley area, good service on the rest of the line though. Now moving on straight to the major roads in London, A1, A23, A41, and Central London red routes have all got serious delays. If you can avoid it, do your best to do so. On the river bus this morning, I can tell you shortly, good service there, and the London cable car, good service there as well. Keep your eyes on the roads, keep your eyes on the roads as we keep navigated, I promise our born. Moving on to the final segment of the travel update, and that is the National Rail. And what have we got for you on the National Rail this morning? Across country, Great Western Railway have all got severe delays. That aside, South Western Railway, Southern Thames Link, and Transport for Wales have got minor delays. And that is how I would say it once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
You are listening to Starr Radio Morning Show.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is now time for Global Trotting. Okay, just bear with me. Let me sort that out. Okay, so from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar, let's look at what is making the headlines this morning. But share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages as well. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. From Nigeria, some of the stories that we're going to be looking at. Nigeria will fall if Kano dies in detention, says the IPOB. Someone say, is it a threat? Well. We'll be telling you more about that. The CBN raises interest rate to 18.5%, highest in 22 years. They will say, you know what? It is the COVID and it's the war in Ukraine. I rest my case. And Buhari seeks Senate approval to pay 226 billion naira or 556.8 million judgment debts. We'll tell you more about that. How did they arrive at that judgment debt? Okay, Ghana, back in the day, they were wallowing judgment debts like no man's business. Is it now time for Nigeria to also mimic that? Okay, we'll be telling you more about that in a moment. So welcome back to the program. Yes. Now moving on to some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. As I did say, once Olayomi is on, there are lots of other stories that we're bringing your way. Our appointments as ministers of state unconstitutional. Buhari's cabinet members, court throws out APM petitions against Sonolu, APC, INEC. And banks can now issue and name cards to Nigerians. That's what the federal government is saying. There's a lot more going to be coming your way from there. So stay tuned, don't you go away. And when it comes to other stories making the round, hundreds of Sudanese migrants stuck at the border with Egypt. I bet they're not going to be allowing them in. You know, if you watch some of these documentaries back, and they tell you the fact that, you know, at a point, the Sudanese took over the reins of Egypt. They became the pharaohs in Egypt, you know. Okay, I'll tell you, every time we are on this program, we learn something or we teach something there. So is it that they thought, they are coming again or this time round? Okay, the Senegalese opposition leader Sonko heads to Dakar for final battle. And I can tell you, you see the number of people who are meeting him there, my goodness. It's more than the president himself. Will they be able to apprehend him and do whatever they want to do? Are we going to see the rule of law? Are we going to see judgment? Okay, Senegalese. Okay. Just wait. Just hold on for a bit. Modern slavery most common in North Korea and Eritrea. That's some of the stories making the rounds. So in Eritrea, the modern time slavery is taking place there. I'm moving on straight to some other stories making the rounds in Ghana. Missing observer case. Information from IGP on extent of investigation 4 years after incident. We'll be trying to see more about that as well. Say Etiwa forest others in eastern region under attack. Land minister is saying under attack from who? Who are the real owners of those lands and what have happened to it? Well, Upon Nkrumah has responded to the IMF's criticism of government's free SHS program. Now we have said time and time over again before even it started that it should be means tested. It should be means tested. It's all good if we have the means to do all sorts, but if there are people who need it and others don't actually need it, and we have a system that we can actually screen that, why not? But was that done? No. And IMF criticizes and they say they have to respond to it. And Mahama says NDC performance in Kumewu by-election is significant, winning about 1,000 more votes, and therefore he said that, well, it seems that we are trying to win a few people there. Is it that people have migrated in or out, or what exactly is happening? Or are people looking objectively, looking at policies and looking at the, someone would say, the failure of government to provide whatever amenities that they need for their life to go on? That's why they are making that statement. And the former president also speaks at the 2023 Korea Africa Business Summit there as well. We'll be looking more into that in a moment. I have no problem with the Chinese involvement in Ghana's economy, says the president. Why is he saying so? We'll bring you more on that front as well. Starr in the UK. I'm moving on to other stories as well. In the world front, Tina Turner has died. Yeah, the rock star. She was, is it a rock superstar? R&B. Rock and R&B. Yeah, she was one of a kind. But she passed. Tributes are pouring in from west, right, center, everywhere. Name it. And Wagner says Bakhmut withdrawal has begun. The boss of the mercenary group says it is transferring control of the city to the Russian army. But we have the, the Ukrainians saying that, well, we should hold on to some part of the country, that region, and we are saying that Wagner has not actually full control over it. But what do you think? Germany is in recession as inflation hits economy. Now, rising prices have dampened the demand from households and businesses in Europe's largest economy. Should we be afraid? Should we be really afraid? Okay, tech troubles as DeSantis launches White House bid after a bumpy start. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis set out his bid to become U.S. president. Do you think he will stand the chance of outwitting Donald Trump or flooring him? Especially looking at the sycophancy when it comes to Trump supporters. And once collapse as fireball engulfed Sydney building, more than 100 firefighters attempted to extinguish the huge fire in the Surrey Hills area in Sydney. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Chief says Police Scotland is institutionally racist. Now, every institution, the fire brigade, the the police force, they're all institutionally racist, you know. So which one is not? Well. Net migration hits record high of 606,000. Remember a couple of days ago, people were predicting that it could hit 700,000. Somebody said that. Well, so at least we didn't hit 700,000. We're talking about 606,000. Immigration in 2022 was estimated at 1.2 million, with emigration around 557. New figures have shown. Story in the Welsh area. Please confirm they followed boys before crash death. Now Harvey Evans and Gary Sullivan died in an electric bike crash which sparked a riot in Cardiff. Okay, now this is a lot more going to be coming your way from Starr Radio UK. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial. Continue to keep your dial. So long on Starr Radio UK. Mental health patients at risk in child wards. That's one of the stories there as well. We'll do our best to touch on that one as well. It is the Thursday edition of the morning show. Some instrumental piece coming away from there. Saxonist there, Dennis Latte in the background. But now let's take another tune from the new song, and it's one Cora High Life there, taking you to Ghana. Music made in the African port, but this time around with a bit of a spin from the Western style. What about that? Okay, enjoy it, and I'll be with you.
This is Starr Radio UK.
It's only saying that lift him high, Jesus is Lord, or He's King. So a literal translation there for you is a tree version of the tune.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy. Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And it is the 9 minutes past the top of the hour. Whilst we wait for Mr. Olayomi to join in, let me just take you straight to some of the stories that is making the rounds this morning in Niger area. This around from the southeast. Candidature of LP governor-elect in Abia nullified by a court there. I'll bring you more details about that in a moment. But it says a federal high court sitting in Kano, presided over by Justice M.N. Yunusu, has declared the candidature of Abia State Governor-elect Dr. Alex Oti and all Labour Party candidates in Abia and Kano states null and void. The Labour Party's failure to submit its membership register to the Independent National Electoral Commission within 30 days before their primaries rendered the process invalid. Now, Labour Party accused a breakaway group of the party led by acting national chairman Lamidi Apapa of petitioning the Kano State Court to have the party's recent electoral victories annulled. Oh my, somebody is going out fighting. What do you think about all that? More going to be coming your way from there. But as I did say, we are waiting for Mr. Olayomi to join in, and once he's on, we will allow him to take us through the details of some of the stories that is making the rounds. And of course, if you did miss out on yesterday's Niger Voices, please make sure you stay tuned, because Yomi is going to give you a sneak view of what happened. Buhari's legacy there. How many years? Is it 8 years? And we asked the question, what legacy is he leaving? A good one or a bad one? But well, those who were on would actually tell you exactly how they perceive or how they see it. Somebody would say, you know what, when it comes to when it comes to, okay, just bear with me. Yomi's line is dropped. Let's see whether we can get him back on. Now, when it comes to the way we all see things, someone would say that, like the blind men of Hindustan who went to see an elephant, depending on where you are standing, you see things differently. So maybe, depending on where people were standing, they were also seeing things differently and might see that, well, Buhari, he's done very well, though. What about that? But I want to know what you think about that. If you didn't have the chance of joining Olayomi Koiki yesterday on the Naija Voices, but whilst we try to get Yomi's line up, I don't know. Just stay tuned and don't you go away. Now, interestingly, nothing can hinder Peter Obi's divine mission. That's what the IPOB is saying. The indigenous people of Biafra has warned those linking the presidential candidate of the Labour Party to recent attack at the U.S. convoy in Anambra State to desist from allegations which it has described as a mere demonization by those it noted does not want him to succeed. And a spokesman of the group, Ima Powerful, who disclosed this in a statement, said Obi's mandate is divine and can never be truncated by anyone, while also denying that his members were part of the attack as alleged by the Nigerian security. Powerful said it is important to note that those accusing IPOB of being behind the attack on the U.S. Embassy convoy are the real masterminders. It's one of the stories making the rounds there as well. And as you could hear in the background, that was Mr. Olayomi Koiki trying to get things all in place to bring to be on. But we can't see him. Oh, now we can see him. We can see him now. Flagging or flying the flag of Niger behind him. There. Let me just go straight to our North London studios where Mr. Olayomi Koiki is. Yomi, good morning.
Well, it is a very good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Frank. Good morning to KB, Bossman, and the rest of the presenter on the Starr Radio UK. And welcome once again to the finest African and the Caribbean radio station in London. I say very good morning to those that have joined us so far.
Yes, those on other platforms watching us as well, we salute each and every one of you. As I say all the time, without you, there will be no point sitting here to be deliberating or saying or discussing anything in the mornings or anytime on the platform. But you do so religiously, and we salute you because we know that, especially those of you in Africa, it costs you an arm and a leg, yet you do so religiously, and we say kudos to you. Now let's come to Yomi. Yomi, how are you doing and how is the family? And I can see you flying the flag of Niger behind you. What's up?
Well, that's the constitution, the Nigerian constitution behind me, and that will be the constitution that is going to be used to run the government as it's just about 4 more days, before Bola Tinubu will be finally inaugurated into the president. Yeah, I'm doing very well. It's been a very beautiful program as usual yesterday on the Naija Voices, and like you were saying before I came on,
go on. You were
much focus on the outcome of the Buhari, because it's now about the outcome, the good, the bad, the legacy, and there was other discussion that also went through, which is more focused on the what kind of economy as Nigerians experience in the hands of President Muhammadu Buhari. 3 things he couldn't do for the last 8 years. He couldn't resolve, the corruption. He couldn't resolve, the economy itself. And we're going to be discussing part of the economy this morning because there's a lot happening in terms of the CBN discussion. When it comes to inflation in Nigeria. And the economy of Nigeria, there's a lot of crisis. Also, we did talk about Nigerians' expectation on this government. The expectation was quite huge. A lot of Nigerians expected the 8 years, but since most people say government is continuity, it hasn't changed to PDP yet. It is still APC. How Tinubu will manage all that is now 4 more days before the inauguration, and that was part of the conversation on the Naija Voices yesterday. We also talked about the Ruba, which is the currency that is also being looked at, for those that are agitating for the Yoruba nation, and that is not something that is a lot of Nigerians understand yet. But when you compare the rate at which the naira is falling, maybe in the long run, you must start thinking of moving your money or saving it. Some argue that the Yoruba is not yet a country. How come, a currency is still not being in discussion? Remember that a lot of Nigerians had to run away and left behind some of their money in Sudan when the war broke in there. So that was some of the conversation yesterday, and I'll come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in the North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South studios, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. And that was a sneak view of what happened on the Niger Voices yesterday. But let me say good morning to Olaoluwa Oguntula. I hope you are doing very well. Say good morning to you, Sir Frank and the White Lion. I'm Archie. Frank is in Ghana now, and thank you very much for joining us as well. Okay, now yesterday there was this allusion that Buhari had made a statement that if anyone should tag him after he leaves the office with corruption, that maybe whether he was corrupted or in any way, then those individuals will have to answer to the Niger Republic. That the Niger Republic are going to come to his defense. But Yomi, is that true? Did he make that statement? And if he did make that statement, does he hail from Niger at all? I remember my Bishop Adesina putting that information there. Yomi.
Well, Buhari is, family is from Niger, but he was born in Nigeria, so he has a good, close relationship with Niger. The question you ask is whether Buhari said so. Yes, I mean, Buhari actually said so that he would relocate back to Daura in Katsina State. But should Nigerians try to disturb him, then he would have no other option than to go to Niger Republic. While Niger Republic would defend me after I leave the office, this was about 48 hours ago in one of the papers in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari has boasted about his cordial relationship, with the neighboring country, Niger Republic. Buhari, whose tenure ends in the next 6 days, which is now about 4 days from now, attributed his confidence in the country's defense to cordial relationship he enjoys with them. He said, if Nigerians make the country difficult to live in after the handover ceremony on the 29th, Niger will come to his aid. The president made these known during the inauguration of the 19.6 billion naira Nigerian Custom Service Corporation in Abuja. Our president said in his inauguration that also noted that he plans on relocating to his country home in Daura, which is far away from Abuja, but much closer to Niger Republic.
Wow. Well, somebody will say maybe he gave them, I remember back in the day, he gave them some trucks, some pickup trucks and a few things that people were, sometime last year, and people were chastising him and his government for that, but he's going on to do it. So maybe he knows that he's prepared his own house or his family very well. So when it comes to push, he knows that he can get there. But well, it's Starr Radio UK. Agbola Tunde says, good morning, Archie, for the good work. More respect for Olayomi Koiki for his educative program. Pastor Mo says, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning to every one of you who's tuned in this morning to listen to us. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, how many days more for Buhari to hand over? And we have a new president coming in. Whether the tribunal is going to change, overturn the results or not, we're not very, very sure. But we are all watching very, very closely. But one person who is still, no matter what the courts have said, is still being held, has been Nnamdi Kanu. And the IPOB are threatening that should he die in detention, then Nigeria will fall. Yummy.
Nnamdi Kanu situation is quite a little bit, surprising that Buhari is still, adamant. We know the hatred he has, for the Southeast. That has been pointed, even by Twitter, removing, one of the tweets, the circle in the dot. Buhari was actually reminding the Biafra of the 1967 civil war that led to about 5 million people being killed, which was a genocide. But what do we understand is that Nnamdi Kanu's health continued to be deteriorated in the last couple of months, according to his legal team. But the question is, would Buhari in the next 4 days probably look into the case of Nnamdi Kanu, or would he just ignore it and say, since I was unable to, to take him out as much as he would have loved to? It's not the first time that Buhari is, has planned, kidnapping case. He had the same situation in London here in the 80s when he wanted to take away Umaru Diko without any kind of court proceeding. He was able to achieve that, with those that sold out Nnamdi Kanu to the government, from Kenya, and eventually he was renditioned and kidnapped back. But Nnamdi Kanu is now, one of the major obstacles to the government. And that is, if Nnamdi Kanu dies in the detention, the IPOB are saying Nigeria will totally fall. The headline says, Nigeria will fall if Nnamdi Kanu dies in the custody. The indigenous people of the Biafra have threatened that should ease detained leader Nnamdi Kanu falls in the hands of Nigeria, then Nigeria and our leaders will fall in the hands of Biafra. If care is not taken, we know that the healthcare system in Nigeria is as poor. So what they have been doing in the last 2 years plus is just trying to manage what Nnamdi Kanu's health situation is. We know that even the president have never used the healthcare service in Nigeria. So the question is, why not allow him to go and get a better medical treatment? Or should we just say, allow him to be treated while the health continue to be deteriorated on a daily basis?
Wow. Listeners, Starr Radio UK, Mr. Olayomi Koikena, North London Studios. I'm actually here. But I'm thinking, was it the day before yesterday, Belarus did pardon? You remember there was one critique of the government in Belarus, and then he was flying. They were on Ryanair going somewhere, and then they decided to say, you know what? There is a bomb on the plane landed, and then they nabbed him. But they've released him. So I'm thinking maybe 4 days before Buhari leaves office, maybe he will have the sense and said, you know what, I'm going out, I've gotten him out, and then boom, who knows?
Well, we don't know what is in the mind of Buhari. There's a lot on his mind, and I'm sure as the government continue to wind down on a daily basis, there will be a lot to reflect. But would he do the last part in terms of, as the president, he still have the power until May 29 when the power change hand. If the power change hand, then you probably maybe, just as we do know African leaders, probably next time to Tinubu to look into the case when he should have looked into the situation, which is still 4 days. But like I said, we don't know whether Buhari would do so, but I will probably not believe that Buhari would do so, because like I said, he's got this hatred, in his heart. And that was reflected when he actually posted that on a Twitter, and eventually Twitter was even suspended in Nigeria. Imagine you've posted something that has been removed by Twitter, that could have just been let go. But he just wanted to show that he's still this adamant man that then end up locking Twitter for 6 months, and that had a big impact between the relationship of Nigeria and the free press world that we know outside the country.
Well, listen to Starr Radio UK. Pastor Mo says, God punished Buhari for the statement he destroyed people's life and started asking for forgiveness. Well, what do you think? Put your comments on our Facebook page or Twitter or YouTube, and I promise you one thing for sure, I'm going to be looking at it. But let's go back to Yomi for some more of the stories. The DSS are saying that they've uncovered some plots here and there pertaining to the inauguration. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, we were talking about the fact that they said they are gone to some SWAT areas where they were making sure people who they think or term are going to disrupt were being arrested. Have they come out with details and areas that they've gone to arrest these individuals?
Well, the DSS are working around the clock, and like I said, it's 4 days before there will be change of government, and that means that all eyes are on the ball, especially when dignitary will be flying into the country. The last thing you want is a situation to happen where Nigeria would then end up into the news again. So the DSS are literally putting in all the measures, and some of those measures is making sure that the highways, most of these leaders that are flowing into the country will probably just be between the hotel and Abuja, and there will be much more security that will be moving them from the hotel, because the Eagle Square is an open space, and that literally means that between the Eagle Square and the hotel vicinity. And when we talk about security, you talked about not just the normal security concern. You talked about the internal security. It could be the food. The hotels that they're going to be staying. There will be a lot of vetting, I believe, that goes on. Even though we know that Joe Biden is not traveling, but we haven't got any information from the UK government whether Rishi Sunak will be traveling or he's just going to be too busy as well, and he'll be sending a delegate as well. But the State Department services has now disclosed that some elements are planning to disrupt the handover ceremony in some part of the country. So they have now just not talking about Abuja anymore. So it seems that they are shifting their focus again outside Abuja. According to the service, these elements plan to undermine the effort of the security agency as well as cause panic. The word panic is a very, very strong word. So if there's going to be panic on the 29th, then it's going to bring another red zone into the country, especially from the international community. In a statement that was released today by the spokesman for the service, Peter Afunaya, the DSS urged the citizen to adhere to the laid down protocols for the event across the country. The state party read, "It will be recalled that the Secretary of the Government of the Federation and the Chairman of the Presidential Transition Council on the 18th of May, some few days ago, held a world press conference which he announced activities for the presidential inauguration. The major highlight was the activities is the swearing in of the president on the May 29th. There's also a lot of activities that will be going on in some of the states as well. There will be some new governors, and likewise there will be recent governors as well. The service is, however, aware of plans by the subversive element to disrupt the programs in some part of the country. They have not mentioned what part of the country, but the aim, according to them, is to undermine the agency. We do know that the Nigerian security, has been infiltrated, and that literally means that, there's not enough manpower to probably do what we call a 36-state protection before May 29. But they are hoping that Nigerians will just go according to the protocol or probably give information ahead before the inauguration in case there will be disruption in any of the states that we do not know, whether in the north, the south, the middle belt, or the southeast. But we know that the DSS are concerned, and they are saying that based on these, the citizens, the media, the civil society organization are all advised to adhere strictly to security and the civil protocols during that event.
Well, listeners, updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi in our North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South studios. But interestingly, the CBN has increased the interest rate in Nigeria to 18.5%, the highest in 22 years. Now, having that, okay, let's talk about that and the fact that there is a judgment debt that the president is trying to get whether the what do you call them, the Senate to approve 226 billion. Now, how come there was that judgment debt? What actually did they what contract did they breach to get that judgment debt to that tune? That is about 556.8 million dollars. Yummy.
Nigeria, we know that this government, like we were discussing yesterday, the debt that Nigeria is currently facing will take about 40 years to repay back, because what we are doing presently, we are only servicing the debt. Yes, the headline says President Muhammadu Buhari seeks the Senate approval to pay 226 billion naira, $556.8 million, and another 98.5 million for the judgment debt. Buhari's request was contained in a letter addressed to the Senate President Ahmed Lawan. What do we know? Let's go into it. In the request contained letter to the Senate President Ahmed Lawan yesterday at the preliminary, the President in the letter said, "Distinguished Senate President, you may wish to be informed that the Federal Executive Council meeting that was held at this meeting of March 29, 2023 has approved the liquidation of the top priority judgment debt and likewise the general debt owed by the ministry, department, and agency and MDA throughout the insurance of the promissory note. The judgment debt are to be settled through the insurance of the promissory note which will then redeem over time through the provisions of the budget of the Federal Republic of the Government of Nigeria. These debt security have been issued for settlement. So that literally means that, as much as we have debt outside, remember the parastatals as well are running below, expectations. So it seems that some of this money will be needed to continue to run, the MDAs and the parastatals. The bill includes the Federal Medical Center, according to the act that was amended, Bill 2033, that was sponsored by Gobi Ibrahim, APC Sokoto, the Federal Teaching Hospital Makurdi, Benue State, that also established in the Bill 2023 that was again sponsored by the same person, Gobi Ibrahim in the APC. Others are the Central Bank of Nigeria Act Amendment Bill, sponsored by the same person, Gobi Ibrahim, APC Sokoto, and the last one was the Federal University Petroleum Technology, Ohaji Agbama Establishment Bill, that was sponsored by Okorocha. So it seems that these are money to be used to run through, some of the ministry, according to what we know. This is different from the debt that Nigeria is owing to the international community.
Okay. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Do you think Buhari has done well, as was discussed yesterday on the Niger Voices? What is his legacy? Leaving more debt, piling it up onto the head of Nigerians? What do you think? All right then. Now we're going to move on to some other stories before I hand over to Mr. Olayomi Koiki. House of Representatives indicts Nigeria Revenue Agency. This is the revenue agency that is supposed to bring in rake in more money to the state. However, we have them being indicted for aiding several oil companies in a tax fraud. It is Shell. It is those companies there. I don't know the ones that they are talking about there, Yomi.
Well, I was looking at the UK paper this morning. After the school run, inflation is falling, but the food cost is still high as well. Is worrying as well. The inflation has fallen to the single figures for the first time since the summer, but the soaring food costs continue to heap pressure on the hard bricks as well. Also, the price rose by 8.7% in April compared to 10.1%. The energy bill increase began as well. Why am I linking these? A lot of companies in Nigeria, do just as so many other countries, evasion of tax. And if you cannot get the tax in, that literally means that, there will be more Nigerians that are below the belt that will not be able to survive, because we need the tax, we need also, the revenue from the sales of the crude oil, which has ended up outside the country most of the time, because all the money that is returned back to Nigeria, especially from the Abacha, is mostly from the sales of the crude oil. But the House of Representatives has now indicted the Nigerian Revenue Agency. I mean, this is meant to be the agent. Imagine, the HRMC is where is indicted by the UK government or the MPs for aiding several oil companies in tax fraud. Nigeria is just full of too much corruption, and the corruption is not from the man selling pepper or the person that is trying to get to, his workplace that is still struggling. According to the report, which also indicted several oil companies for the alleged tax evasion, also recommend for the arrest, prosecution of the FIRC chairman, Mr. Namami. The chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue, Mr. Mami Nami, has been indicted for aiding tax evasion by the oil companies, running into trillions of naira, according to the House of Representatives ad hoc committee that is investigating the structure. So you can tell that corruption is right embedded with some of these agencies that are protecting companies from paying the due tax to Nigeria that will have helped as many Nigerians today.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 11:35 the time, and we go to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds and what is happening on the social media platform. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, it seems that the National Assembly still another member have accused the outgoing Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila of diverting $30,000 legacy meant to ensure the passage of Buhari's 22.7 trillion loan request. The National Assembly had early in May approved a 22.7 trillion loan from the Central Bank of Nigeria extended to the federal government under its Ways and Means provision. But some of the aggrieved members of the House of Representatives have now accused the outgoing leadership that is led by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, of shortchanging them over a purported $30,000 bribe from the president. Again, it is part of what we have been saying so many times that, most of the bills, most of, the reason why Buhari has got a soft landing, especially, at the Ninth Senate, is because corruption is part of bribing some of these members, and eventually some of them, have not done as much of the wish of the Nigerians, but they've done the wish of President Muhammadu Buhari. And that is right there, Femi Gbajabiamila, as some of the members are saying that $30,000 bribe never got to them, from this headline. The Debt Management Office recently revealed that Nigerian total public debt stock has now increased to 46.25 trillion in the fourth quarter of 2022. So we go back straight to some of the other news headlines, and then we come back again as more Nigerians continue to ask the question surrounding the 1999 Constitution. We've heard about amendment, but as many people disagree that it is not about amending that Constitution. The Constitution itself has got a lot to deal with. Let's take this headline as well. The president man might pick for Tinubu's cabinet. Nigerian claim is operates a democratic system of government, but the country remains a functioning anarchy, given the intractable problems of poverty, unemployment, terrorism, violence, and corruption that make the country ungovernable. The failure of the government to deliver basic services seem to have sustained renewed social unrest from time to time in the country. The first judgment call of a president is the ability to choose the most qualified as cabinet minister who would help them carry out his vision. For the incoming administration, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I will urge Tinubu to select men and women neck deep in a veritable eruption of corruption scandal. They must carry a barrage of scandal, unmistakable assurance that corruption will be the thing of the past in the new administration. This was put together by Bayo Oluwasami that says the president man might pick for Tinubu's cabinet. So in the next 5 days from now, that means that Tinubu will be taking the reins of affairs and will be following, who is going to be the ministers, who are those that will be appointed. Remember that if anyone is appointed, Nigerians can easily verify the track record of some of these individuals, whether they've ever performed outside the country or they've been in politics. But we know most of the time it's all about these individuals that brings in the same people as well. I'm just taking straight to the social media. The people constituting 95% of Nigerians' current problems are men and women who were born in 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s. They all grew up and benefited from a working and prosperous Nigeria, but they are hell-bent on destroying the country today, set of old corrupt fools. This is coming from 99% oppressed, as we come back again into one more article, then go back again into the social media as well. It seems that Buhari is still pushing under the Works Ministry. 221 billion was disbursed to the road contractors, according to Fashola, the Minister of Works and Housing. Says that 221 billion naira has been disbursed to contractors as cost of construction of 71 road projects complete in various parts of the country under the 2021 Suko Bond Fund. A lot of Nigerians have been concerned about the Suko Bond Fund, that where is this money coming from, and how is all this money going to be repaid back? But it seems that if you have a good road network and people can move from point A to B, it will probably bring the money back and we can start paying some of the loans back. This was refuted allegation by some aggrieved contractors in an online publication that the fund allocated to the project in 2022, Sukuk Fund, were being delayed and placed into bank account to embezzle and accrue interest as well. But it's saying Fashola disagree with that, and he's saying that 222 billion have actually been paid as well. as a point of clarification, he noted the ministry has been using SUKA model for project financing since 2007 and at no time held fund for the project payment as well. So we go straight to the social media, quite a lot. As we can tell, Tinubu is trending at about 108,000 this morning. Kashima Shettima is trending. The young man that came out on the BBC that went ahead and said that Nigerians are coming into the country because of reasons that he is better well known. He has actually now come out to apologize fully. Tiamiu went onto the BBC to say most Nigerians are coming into the country not because of education. They are coming under the route of bringing their family into the country. There was a lot of backlash, and eventually Tiamiu has come out to apologize, for what he has actually done by going to the BBC and telling them about Nigerians coming into the UK. Ondo State is trending, so we're going to see why some of these things are trending as well this morning. Let's go and talk about Kashima Shettima as well. Once again, it is still Starr Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. The breaking says Tinubu and Shettima have now managed to get the national honor. 4 days to their assumption of duty, President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Vice President-elect Kashima Shettima have been bestowed with the 2 highest national honors in the country. And the image, we'll try and see if we can bring that in before we start winding up. Once again, this is still Starr Radio UK as we continue to monitor the 4 more days before Tinubu, taking the reins of affairs. And right there, as you can see, with President Muhammadu Buhari, Tinubu there, the son is on the far left there, and the wife on the far right, and Tinubu right there with President Muhammadu Buhari. So that honor is normally given to those that we believe, according to the government. So that is the reason why that is trending. Now that the federal government, not Buhari, has conferred this prestigious honor of the GCFR on the incoming federal government, not Tinubu, GCFR, and the Kashima Shettima, GCON. This one says congratulations to all Nigerians. So that is the reason why those two are trending. Now let's go back and see why Nigerian itself is trending at about 110,000 this morning. Once again, this is still the Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Already they will go elsewhere and we will suffer the consequence. UK lawmaker has now kicked against the Home Secretary barring Nigerians and other international students from bringing their families while on a master program. So I guess that is some of the questions that probably took place at the Common yesterday. Also, Aisha Yusuf, Nigerians were told to change the politicians. They want. They took the challenge and did that. The people decided Peter Obi was their choice and they choose him as well. Again, this is under Nigeria. Emefiele, without a CBN monetary tightening regime, inflation would have reached 30.48% in April. He has also urged Dangote to make petrol cheaper for Nigerians, having benefited from the government funds. So we're going to see how Dangote will use his platform as a refinery to make up the price of petrol to be a little bit reduced. That is how far we can go. I'll come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Well, listen. It is updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Two issues there that I wanted to touch on quickly. The latter first, Dangote reducing the price of petrol. Now, are they going to give him the crude oil on the international market rate, or are they going to give him at a lower rate? Because if they are giving him at a lower rate, then he can also, because this is just an investment that has been done. It's not actually even paid off whatever the investment is. Then you say, oh, make the petrol cheaper for the people. Government, when you had everything, you couldn't do that. So how could he, an individual or a private entity, do so? Yummy.
Well, Emefiele made a passionate appeal to the Africa richest man, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, to ensure that petrol was sold at a cheaper price to Nigerians, given that the CBN and the federal government had helped in funding the new refinery. So again, the question is, would Dangote be getting the crude oil, at the international price, or will they be giving a little bit of discount since the crude oil is coming from Nigeria? We don't know how that is going to happen, but Emefiele expressed worried over the country's low level of oil production, which he said had been hovering around 1.1 million barrels per day. He ended saying that though the oil sector still accounted for much of the government revenue, we know that already, it had not contributed much into acceleration of the reserve in the last 2 years. So the Nigerian reserve is declining because we're not hitting the target as well. But the CBN made these and also went on to say that if not some of the what they've done, there would have been inflation up to the 30.48%. The question to an average Nigeria is whether it's 30 or 22, there is no food on the table. That's right. And a lot of Nigerians are now into that abject poverty. We're talking about 74 million Nigerians today.
It's a sad one day. It's a sad one day. Now let's come to Tinubu and Shetime's award. Now, did Buhari receive any award like that before he was sworn into office, or how does that award actually come out? How are the individuals nominated? How did they get that award? Is it because they won the election?
Well, yes, you've just said it right. When Buhari was coming in, there was nothing of such. So Buhari had to wait until there was a change of government, but this is not happening with Tinubu. I mean, it's still the same APC government. So I believe Buhari is just, preparing the mind to tell Nigerians that, whether they like it or not, this government would leave, and we do know that the GCRF was given to the late MK Abiola, even though he was never the president, but just to give him that recognition, eventually the family was given that. So what is the full meaning of the GCRF? It's called the Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, Officer of the Order of the Federal Republic is the OFR. So these are given, and is one of the only highest honor. And since Tinubu is the president-elect so far, without any tribunal or changing that, I believe Buhari is just doing this in advance so that there will be less pressure before the handover itself.
I think that this should be held. They should be held in contempt, because all that they are doing is trying to, stabilize him before even the courts come out to say that he has been his winning has been authenticated with the courts and everything. But I don't know. We hope to see. Well,
like you said, we hope to see 4 days now, and then the focus will shift to the ministry position that Tinubu will be putting in. Who is going to be sitting out? Just like Bayo was saying, there's going to be a lot of Nigerians expecting so much from Tinubu, but we do know that Nigeria itself is going through a lot when it comes to the economic situation, just like any other countries around the world.
Well, Bishop Adesina, good morning. So, well done, Starr, and then empty post and award. It is that award is empty. It doesn't come with anything. But the man has got some nice gold chain. I don't know whether when we can get it and sell it, we can make some money from that. What do you think? Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi in our Northland Studios. I'm actually here in the South Studios. Yomi, before you go.
Well, it is the Thursday edition. It is still the 25th of May, 2023. It's coming up to 12 p.m. But for now, Starr Radio UK continue with all the news and the update from different parts of the world, and likewise the breaking news as we do. But for now, I will say thank you so much and stay tuned with Archie for the rest of the program. I'll be on again tomorrow at exactly 11 o'clock. But for now, bye.
Bye. Okay, listen, that has been Mr. Olayomi bringing you updates from Nigeria. With the time now, 10 minutes to the top of the hour. We take a commercial break and I'll bring you some music and then we continue with the show. But wherever you are, don't touch the dial. Okay, my producer says come out with the music first and then we'll take the commercial break. So enjoy this one. This one is from the Zungu Man. He says the problem of Africa. You know what? Enjoy it. I'll be with you. The problem of Africa. Well, Angola Bola Tunde says it's secret society organizations from Buhari to Tinubu. That's why that award, you know. Agbala, thank you very much.
Africa. Who run things, who run things, who run things. Them all go to universities. Universities award them degrees. Big degrees. Degrees. Big degrees. MSc in stealing. Bachelor of Arts, Mismanagement. Masters in looting. MSc in corruption. Bachelor of Science in nepotism. MSc in forgery. Bachelor of Arts in indiscipline. MSc in embezzlement. The problem of Africa is daily. Africa. Who run things, who run things, who run things. The problem of Africa is daily. Africa. Who run things, who run things, who run things. Some of them went to London London School of Fools, where they were awarded degrees in foolishness, PhD in stupidity, MSc in foolishness, PhD dishonesty, PhD in recklessness, Bachelor of Arts in selfishness, MSc in greed, BSc maladministration, PhD in quasi-SM, PhD pull him down, MSc Helio donkey. The problem of Africa is the lead.
Well, the problem of Africa is the lead who run things. That is what the Zongo man is saying this afternoon or this morning still.
The problem of
But then some of the comments that have come through, my Bishop Adeshina says, you know what? Nigerians will understand soon when they start pricing a pair of shoes with price expensive more than their monthly salaries. That'll be a tough one there.
University.
And Pastor Mo says maybe that is the TGE last honor, that's Tinubu's last honor for no, that's the president's last honor for Tinubu.
Big.
But what do you think about that? Well, it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. So I did say earlier on, the next 6 minutes, the lines will be open for you to add your voice to the discussions. But you know what? As others are doing, you can put your comments on our Facebook page, our YouTube, our Twitter channels, and all the platforms. And when the lines are open as well, you can add your voice to the discussions there as well.
Corruption.
I would love to see you as well. Why not? Why not?
In nepotism.
But let's enjoy the rest of that tune, and then we take a commercial break and we continue with the show. Stay tuned, don't you go away. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
MSc in embezzlement. The problem of Africa is daily. Africa. Who run things, who run things, who run things. The problem of Africa is daily. Who run things, who run things, who run things. Some of them went to London London School of Fools, where they were awarded degrees in foolishness, stupidity, MSc in foolishness, PhD, dishonesty, PhD in recklessness, Bachelor of Arts in selfishness, MSc in greed, BSc maladministration, PhD in quasi-SM, PhD pull him down, MSc Helio donkey. The problem of Africa is they leave. Who run things, who run things, who run things. The problem of Africa is they leave.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK on the Thursday edition of the morning show with a time exactly almost what? A minute to the top of the hour. That's a minute to 12. And so let's now go on. Let's look at some of the other stories making the rounds. But that will be after I've given you the opportunity to join in on the program by calling in as well. If you want to call in, if you are in the UK, yes, in Europe, yes, 0208-133-2257 or 58 0208133 2257 or 58. If you happen to be in the US, Canada, or the Caribbean area, it is 0017183032737 0017183032737. You can text or WhatsApp at 0753966144 0753966144. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK and email address is info@starradiouk.com. So whatever you do, continue to join in. You can also WhatsApp us, you can WhatsApp call us, and it is that 075-3966-1744. You can WhatsApp call us and I'll be able to put you through there as well. Okay, you want to Skype? Yes, our Skype ID is Starr Radio UK 1, and then you'll find us there, and I will allow you to talk, and I will have to see your face as well. Why not? All right, then. Now let's move on to some of the other stories making the rounds on the African continent. As I did say, the program will be brought to a close as early at 12:30. Yes. Now, cholera kills 17 in South Africa and a further 9 in neighboring Zimbabwe. Okay, the story said at least 17 people have died in cholera outbreak in Hammanskraal Township outside South Africa's capital, Pretoria. Authorities have said yesterday the toll has risen from an initial 10 fatalities reported by local health authorities earlier this week. Authorities said there were another 29 laboratory confirmed cholera cases, while 67 people were admitted to a hospital and clinics for gastrointestinal infection. Now, health authorities are yet to confirm the exact source of the cholera outbreak, but poor wastewater management and local government instability in South Africa's capital city have been blamed for the situation. The city of Tshwane municipality, which takes in Pretoria and surrounding areas, has had at least 5 different mayors since the ruling African National Congress Party lost control in local government elections in 2016. A water plant in Pretoria, which is responsible for wastewater management for the large parts of Hammanskraal, is in need of urgent upgrade, estimated to cost about $130 million, and hasn't been functioning properly for years, the city mayor said, and that could be a cause for this death and hospitalization as well. The 60th anniversary of African Union starts in Addis Ababa. 60th anniversary of what? Why do we need to celebrate it? What have been achievements? Have we actually stand with various countries when they were going through challenging times? What has been the contribution of the AU at all? Now, as the African Union celebrates its 60th anniversary, delegates from across the continent gathered in Addis Ababa for the opening ceremony to mark the occasion. Musa Faki Mohammed, a former Chadian Prime Minister and Chairperson of the African Union Commission, made an opening statement welcoming those in attendance. Member states are expected to review their successes, challenges, milestones, and way forward in all areas and issues that they have tackled since last year. Well, we hope that it's not just going to be a tea party there. After all, what have we seen? What have we heard? It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, in Senegal, Ousmane Sonko, the popular Senegalese opposition leader facing a rape trial, said on Wednesday that he would lead a caravan of freedom across the country as he travels to face judges in Dakar. Now, Sonko, who has a keen following among Senegal's large youth population, has branded the trial a political plot aimed at skirting his bid for the presidency in 2024 elections. Now, Sonko, 48, had been charged with rape and making death threats against an employee of a beauty salon in Dakar, accusations that he denies. Now, I'll meet you in Dakar. Either President Macky Sall steps back or we will face him to put an end to this, Sonko told hundreds of cheering supporters outside his home in the southern city of Ziguinchor after the second day of his trial wrapped. The final fight, where will it go? It will happen in Dakar. If you are 2,000, let 1,500 go to Dakar to continue the fight, he said. Now, Sonko plans to return to Dakar by road and turn the 500-kilometer, that 310-mile journey into a caravan of freedom, saying later on social media that his convoy will set off for Dakar today. Now, public prosecutor Abdul Karim Diop had earlier called for a 10-year prison sentence for rape or a minimum of 5-year term for corrupting youth. Now, either sentence would illegally bar him from contesting the elections. A decision is expected to be handed down on June 1, the president of the criminal court said after the marathon 17-hour session wound up. The trial had resumed Tuesday after a week-long suspension, but Sonko refused to show up for the second time. The court rejected pleas by his lawyers for a new adjournment, prompting the attorneys to walk out. Sonko has said he went to the Sweet Beauty salon for a massage for chronic back pain and denies any assault. The complainant maintained her accusations in Tuesday's hearing, saying she had been abused 5 times by Sonko between 2020 and early 2021. She also said she had received death threats if she went public with accusations. The conservative nation has been avidly following the case, which on Wednesday served up a string of salacious details. The trial opened on May 16, but was immediately adjourned after Sonko refused to attend. Now, Sonko declared last Friday that he feared being attacked and will not appear without the guarantees of his safety. His lawyer, Cyril Cledo Lai, said by telephone that on Wednesday that his client was supremely calm after the developments in court. He gave no details as to the advice Sonko's attorney will be given for the future of the case. Now, Ziguinchor residents were divided over the trial. Madu Badij, a 75-year-old pensioner, said Starr has been targeting Sonko for past 5 years simply because he raises hope. Now, I've not seen such goings on since Senegal gained independence, he said. But 33-year-old coffee seller Gassim Diallo said people were fed up with the case. The country has been taken hostage for the past 2 years by a tale about rapes. Everything has slowed down. Traders, drivers, everyone is complaining. It's time to move on, he said. Now, Sonko's president of the Pacific Patriots Party came in third place in 2019 election against incumbent Starr. Now, what do you think he's going to have going that up there once he gets to the courts? Are they going to find him guilty? And if they find him guilty, what are his opponents going to do? I'm going to see the security agencies cracking down and just whipping him away to the prisons. And what happens after that? Well, we know Africa, once they have some individuals are brandishing some guns and this thing, stamp the authorities and that'll be it. But are they going to be resilient enough to say, no, we think our candidate is innocent? Will they do so? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 7 minutes past the top of the hour. Well, in the DRC, the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo filed a complaint on Tuesday at the International Criminal Court in The Hague, Netherlands, against the Rwandan Army M23 coalition for crimes committed in the east of the country. The DRC, deeply concerned by the serious violation of international humanitarian law and international human rights law committed and perpetrated against the civilian population, as well as the systematic and large-scale plundering of its natural resources by agents of the RDF M23 coalition. Now, Rwanda Defense Force of M23 movement, mainly in the eastern part of its territory, said the Minister of State in charge of Justice, Rose Mutombo, when the complaint was filed at the office of the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. Now, there is already a continuing ICC investigation into Eastern DRC side 2004, and it's unclear if the new referral will shift the court's focus. The referral's goal will be to investigate and prosecute any persons involved in human rights violation between 2022 and 2023, it added. Wow. Interesting. Plundering the resources. Now, what about foreigners who have been plundering the resources, coming in with jets and helicopters and just flying out of the country with all those resources to come out and stuff there? What do you think about all that? So coming away from Starr Radio. Okay, 9 minutes past the top of the hour at the time, the morning show, the program. Now moving on straight to Ghana and looking at some other stories. Some news network in Ghana has contacted the Inspector General of the Ghana Police, Dr. George Kufu-Dampare, seeking information on the extent of investigation in the case of a missing observer. The station wants to be furnished with information on the extent of the investigation and the outcome of the investigation 4 years after the incident happened. The request to the IGP follows the Attorney General's direction to demand the police the extent of investigation and the outcome of it after the station sent an RTI request to the Attorney General about a month ago. And that is Joy News. On June 24, 2019, 28-year-old Ghanaian fisheries observer Emmanuel Essien was on board the Chinese trawler Jinghao 608 when he captured video of the crew engaging in psycho, the illegal transfer of fish from a trawler to a large canoe. Now, 2 weeks later, on July 5th, 2019, Mr. Essien went missing while working on the Mengzin 15 vessel. Before getting on board the Mengzin 15, the 28-year-old wrote a statement to the police to investigate the crew on the Jinghao 608 vessel for engaging in illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing practices. Now, Essien's family, including a young daughter and son, are struggling to make sense of the disappearance. The family has, on numerous occasions, been calling on government to help them find their relative. After 3 years, the Marine Police Division of the Ghana Police Service has no information on Essien's whereabouts or what led to his disappearance. Initial police reports said there were no signs of a crime. Essien's evidence could have meant a 1 million fine for the vessel's captain. In a media encounter on Wednesday, October 27, 2021, Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah indicated that the police have finally concluded the probe into the matter and some new suspects have emerged. From where and what is happening? In a letter, it went on further to say, I wrote a letter under my signature to the IGP and they have responded. The Tema police have completed their investigations and they have sent a duplicate case docket to the Attorney General for study and advice. The Attorney General, upon study, directed that they need to do further interrogation of 3 persons, Isaac Kujo, Ziwonu Ahabile, and Anthony Asiedu. They have done the further interrogation and have submitted this update to the Attorney General, and in about 3 weeks, the Attorney General will come out with its final advice on this docket, he said. So, why haven't they done that all the time until the news network decided to ruffle the water a bit? And now they say, let's stop, or let's get up and let's start running and let's try to do something about it. Has he been killed? Can you just imagine deep seas there, and then they'll just hang some weight on you and chuck you in there and you are gone. Nobody will see you. Talk about divers. What kind of divers? Even here, divers who have got professional proper equipment have not been able to. They at times do miss things like that. So what about our place? Well. Maybe they have a more than one. I don't know. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, Mahama spoke at the 2023 Korea-Africa Business Summit. The former President John Dramani Mahama is in Seoul, South Korea, at the invitation of the Korea-Africa Foundation to participate in the 2023 Korea Business Summit. Mr. Mahama is a keynote speaker at the 2-day summit, which coincides with the African Union Day celebration on May 25, 2023. That's today. The summit, according to Korea African Foundation, provides a valuable venue for the enabling rich and in-depth discussions around several key issues, including finance, 4.0 innovation, 4.0 innovation and youth entrepreneurship, trade, industrialization, energy and resources. The foundation will host an Africa Night to commemorate the Africa Day celebrations as part of the summit's program. The Korea African Foundation was established as an affiliate of the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs to serve as a platform for collaboration between the private and public sectors, and also to strengthen exchange and cooperation with African countries. This is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. My apologies for the cough there. But let's move on straight. Now, one other story from Ghana, and then we'll move on from there. The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has stated that he has no problem with the involvement and participation of the Chinese in Ghana's economy. According to him, China has, through the years, become a reliable partner that has supported Ghana's economy in very difficult and trying times. He made the remarks following a recent IMF country report that indicated that Ghana will likely lose its mineral resources and electricity revenues to China should the country default on paying a $1.9 billion debt. Speaking during the panel discussion at the Qatar Economic Forum in Doha, President Akufo-Addo said investment from China has been vital to Ghana's economy, growth and development. Well, I don't have any criticism about Chinese involvement in the Ghanaian economy. They have been very helpful. It is a matter of controversy in the West for us. For us, they have been friends, and in terms of difficulty, they have proven to be a strong partner, President Akufo-Addo said. Now, since 2000, Ghana has been a major recipient of Chinese loans, with the country borrowing close to $5 billion from the Asian country, which has been spent on major infrastructure projects. How many have gone into individual pockets is the question that I want to ask next. Now, while majority of these loans have been expended on these projects, there are concerns that the terms of the loan have not been unfavorable to Ghana, leaving the country highly indebted, or have been unfavorable. Have not been. Now, currently, the external debt component of Ghana has surpassed $30 billion, which has been described as unsustainable debt level. Okay, so what do you think about all that? It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. A quick break, and I take you to other parts of the world so that we can look at some of the stories making the rounds there. Stay tuned and don't touch the dial. Starr, it is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's move on straight to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. Now, Ross DeSantis' long-awaited entry into the 2024 race for White House was hit by technical glitches after a Twitter live streaming malfunction. It meant the Florida governor bid for the Republican presidential nomination got underway 20 minutes late. Now, he went on to use the event to champion his conservative credentials, his anti-lockdown stance, and education reforms. I am running for president of the United States to lead our great American comeback, he said. The Florida governor is viewed as former President Donald Trump's chief rival to be their party's candidate in the 2024 general election. Mr. DeSantis is a relative newcomer in U.S. politics, having first been elected to the House of Representatives in 2012, just 6 years later in 2018. After a failed bid to become a senator, he was elected governor of Florida. He has overseen the enactment of high-profile laws that make it easier to own a gun, restrict sex and gender identity education in schools, and curtail abortion access. He has claimed that this Florida blueprint can act as a guide for the federal policies, one that will move the U.S. in a sharply conservative direction. He joins a growing list of contenders seeking to unseat Mr. Trump, who leads the Republican field by more than 30 points in the national opinion polls. By the time Wednesday evening Twitter talk had begun in earnest, hundreds of thousands of Twitter users had left the platform. Now, since Mr. Musk took the reins at Twitter in October, he said he has laid off thousands of employees, including engineers responsible for the site's operation and technical troubleshooting. So, will we say, or can we blame Elon Musk's action or inactions to be the cause of what delayed Ron DeSantis launching of his bid for 20 minutes, causing him to lose hundreds of thousands of people on that broadcast? Well. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The head of the Russian Wagner mercenary group has announced that its forces have started withdrawing from the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. Yevgeny Prigozhin has vowed to transfer control of the city to Russian army by the 1st of June, but Kyiv says it still controls pockets of the city. He said his forces were ready to return if the Russian regular army proved unable to manage the situation. The battle for the city has been longest and bloodiest of the war. Now, Wagner mercenaries have led the fighting there for Russian side, and Mr. Prigozhin this week said that 20,000 of its fighters had died in Bakhmut. We are withdrawing units from Bakhmut today, Mr. Prigozhin said in a video released on Telegram from the destroyed city. In a verified geolocated video to an area near a pharmacy in the east of Bakhmut. Now, Mr. Prigozhin, who announced the capture of the city on Saturday, is seen telling his men to leave ammunition for the Russian army. He adds that some Wagner fighters will stay behind to assist Russian troops. The moment when the military are in a tough situation, they will stand up, he says, before warning two fighters not to bully the military. The Wagner boss has repeatedly targeted the top Russian military officials, criticizing them publicly for not supporting the troops. Last month, he even threatened to pull his troops out of the city if they were not provided with much needed ammunition. Despite Wagner claims to be handing over Bakhmut, Ukraine has not conceded that the city has fallen. So what do you think there? But we had the Wagner boss himself, not the one in Ukraine, but the Wagner boss himself saying that with the influx of infighting, you think that Russia is now going to now get into a civil war, sort of. But more going to be coming away from there. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, dead fraudster mystery grips Australia. The story says, when con woman Melissa Caddick vanished from her luxurious Eastern Sydney home in November 2020 with only her partially decomposed foot found washed up on a beach months later, it set off a frenzy in Australia. The case blindsided investors, baffled police, and captured the imagination of a nation. The fraudster has inspired a hit podcast, a TV dramatization, and countless outlandish theories, including that she had been swallowed by a shark or had severed her own foot to throw police off her scent. A long-running inquest into the case head of a flawed police investigation, conflicting accounts from her husband, and all the extensive speculation surrounding her fate. But the coroner on Thursday ruled that exactly what happened to her remain is a mystery. The conclusion I have reached is that Melissa Caddick is deceased. However, I do not consider the evidence enables a positive finding as to how she died or when and where this happened. Deputy State Coroner Elizabeth Ryan has written. Well. She wouldn't amputate her own legs. I mean, why would she do so? Okay, to the UK. Final segment of the story for you. Now, Chris Peckham has won libel claim against a website. Now, naturalist Chris Peckham has won his libel claim against a website that alleged he misled people into donating a tiger rescue charity. The presenter sued in the High Court over articles published on the Country Squire magazine website. Now, site editor Dominic Whiteman, writer Nigel Benn, and proofreader Paul Reid defended the libel claims. Mr. Justice Sani ruled in Mr. Perkins' favor against Mr. Whiteman and Mr. Bean, but dismissed the ones against Mr. Reid. Okay, it is all Starr Radio UK. In another story as well, police in Scotland, the Chief Constable of Police Scotland has admitted that the force is institutionally racist and discriminatory. Tell me something that I don't know already. Now, Sir Lane Livingston said prejudice and bad behavior within the force was rightly of great concern. He also said that acknowledging the issues exist was vital for real change to happen. A review recently uncovered first-hand accounts of racism, sexism, and homophobia by 7 officers. It also heard about cases where staff had been punished for raising concerns. Ian's statement is believed to be the first of its kind by a police chief and comes amid ongoing controversies about policing culture in the UK. But he stressed that his admissions of institutional discrimination did not mean that individual officers and staff were racist or sexist and expressed pride and confidence in their work. Speaking at a meeting at the Scottish Police Authority on Thursday morning, Ian Selane said, "It is the right thing for me to do as Chief Constable to clearly state that the institutional racism, sexism, misogyny, and discrimination exists." All right, kudos to him, because that's what the mayor of London wanted the Met boss to admit to, which he falls short of doing so. He said they are not institutionally racist. All right then. But what do you think? One final story, and then we'll bring the program to a close for today. Well, before the beginning of the week, there were speculations that the net migration will hit 700,000. But UK net migration rose to a record 606,000. So the government can say, you know what? Yeah, we didn't get to that. We got to 606 last year. The Office of the National Statistics has said net migration is the difference between the number of people arriving in the UK and the number leaving. The rise is driven by resettlement schemes for people leaving Ukraine and Hong Kong, as well as overseas students. It's considered a major setback for the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who has been under pressure to deliver a 2019 Tory manifesto pledge to cut net migration. Appearing on TV network this morning, Mr. Sunak said numbers were too high, but denied they were out of control. In 2022, an estimated 1.2 million people arrived in the UK and 557,000 immigrated, the ONS has said. Most of those coming to the UK were non-EU nationals. That's 925,000 of them, followed by EU nationals, 151,000, and the British people, 88,000. Okay, so that is where we bring the program to a close for today, but I'm going to bring you some music before we sign off, and this time round from a cover version of Bob Marley's tune, but this time round from Ash, and he says, "No woman, no cry." Enjoy that music, and when it ends and you didn't hear from me, it's been me, Archie. I promise you I'm going to be with you tomorrow morning on the Friday edition of the morning show with Miss Olayomi once again. Have a wonderful day, and God bless you. Bye-bye for now.
Starr Radio UK.
No woman, no cry. Thanks for listening.
Said I remember when we used to sit in the government yard and trenched out about observing the hypocrites mingle with the good people with me. Good friends we have and good friends we've lost along the way. In this great future.
Thanks for listening.
So dry your tears, I said. No to sit in the government yard entrenched out. And then Georgie would make the fire light as it was, love would burning through the night. Then we would cook cornmeal porridge, of which I'll share with you. And my feet is my only courage, and I've got to push on through. When I'm gone, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright now. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright now. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. No one